Good morning. We ready?
Good morning.
Okay, that clock's a little slow. I have 9 o'clock, so we're going to get started with our July 5th meeting. I hope everybody had a wonderful Independence Day. We're going to start our meeting with prayer. Supervisor Williams, would you do something?
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we come before you this morning in need of a blessing and in need of you continuing to look over Ottawa County with blessings. We pray that you'll continue to shower your blessings on our county. We pray, oh Father, for each one of these board members. We pray, Father, not only for them, for their families as they live in this county and they go in and out. We thank you for what you've been for us. We pray, oh Father, for those individuals who fight for our freedom abroad. We pray for them and their families too as well. We pray, oh Father, that you will enable us with the knowledge and understanding that we might be able to rule well as we sit in these seats. This is our prayer. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
The next item on the agenda is board orders. Has everybody had a chance to look over those?
Did. In the first meeting, we had discussed it in item number 7, dealing with decommissioning the lake. And of course, allowing Pickering to continue to do their design. I know there was some discussion and it wasn't in the board order, but I would like to exclude Pickering from doing the decommission study. Just to vet get all the answers out on the table and get a clear understanding of which direction we need to go.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Y'all can do whatever you want
Exclude
to.
them. I know we probably
Just to
could
get all
vote
the
on.
answers.
We can vote on and approve anyone we want to approve, but can we legally not add?
This board can exclude whoever they wish because
It's
this
just
is
on the premise of a conflict of interest. I don't want one doing, you know what I mean? If we're going in 2 different directions, I don't want the same group doing
I second that motion.
Do we need to approve the orders and then come out and make a motion, or how do we want to do this?
Yeah,
Well, we'll change the board order,
Okay.
as an amendment to the
amend the board order, and then approve them.
Okay, we've got a motion.
Our last motion or last meeting was for any and all bidders
Right.
to be accepted.
That's what we did in the last meeting that we had. So
But it was already included. You want to
Exclude them. Let's just,
I think that needs to be a new motion.
well, I would to keep it clean. It would probably have to be something
Rescind the old
rescind the old motion. and
so do we
move
want to,
forward.
well, and I was going to say, I don't want to speak for Supervisor Trainer, but he's not here and he voted nay anyway.
To be clean, it probably be. This is just my thoughts here. It'd probably be best to accept the board orders, assuming that there's nothing else that needs to be changed. But
Yeah.
accept the board order as they stand right now, and then after you do that, come back with a new motion to exclude their. If you want to exclude them, exclude them in your.
But I'll make a motion to approve the board orders.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the board orders as they stand by Supervisor Montgomery. Can I get a second on that motion?
Second.
That would be Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Supervisor Howard? All
Approve
in
it, yeah.
favor?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, I'm a no on that, so that's a
3-1.
3-1. And now Supervisor Montgomery, would you like to make your motion?
I guess we don't have to discuss that item. Can we add this to it, or what do we need to do legally then, Rob? Is this a board order in this month?
In this month, just basically do another order stating that Pickering would not be included in the
RF.
RFQ.
that gonna come in? Is that gonna come in board in our supervisor's work area down at the last section? Supervisor.
Y'all can do it. I mean,
When you want.
Let's go ahead and do it. I'll
You
make
can
that
clean it up here
motion
now, or whatever y'all want to do.
to look at doing the decommission study. And just for the simple fact, you don't want conflict of interest. To make it exclude Pickering for that fact.
All right, you heard Supervisor Montgomery's motion. Do we got a second on that motion? Supervisor Williams seconds that motion.
Discussion. I just wanted to be made clear to the taxpayers that by excluding Pickering means that we're gonna have to pay for the exact same services that Pickering has already completed as far as studies go to decommission this dam, which means that's extra cost on the taxpayers. When, if you allow Pickering, they've already got information gathered that they'll need, but I just want to be clear to the taxpayers that they will be paying for the same services more than once. But you can carry.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
3 opposed?
Okay.
The motion passes 3-1. We'll now open the floor for citizen comment periods. Is there any citizen here that would like to speak? No? If there's none, we'll move forward. Ms. Hill, Ms. Barbara Hill, are you here?
I'm here.
Would you like to step forward and come speak with us
Yes, ma'am.
about Jordan Lane? And Supervisor Trainers, I apologize as he's not here. I assume that's his
What I
district.
want to bring to the table is, it's been for years, I've been asking him
You wasn't having.
Yeah, come on, sit down.
to do something for that road. 3 kids have got run over. My son, my niece, which cracked her skull. The garbage trucks, the buses come down there, you cannot see. You cannot even see in your house. And back here, 3 to 4 months ago, another child got ran over. My little nephew down by me because they cannot see. It's so much dust down there. And then the road is washing out, like going down from my house. All the rocks are in the ditch. The road is pitiful. And I mean, I'm really tired. They need to do something, put something on that road. Cause somebody, I guess it's gonna take for somebody to get killed for them to do something.
Ms. Hill,
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Trainer has expressed his concern about that particular road, and from my understanding, he does want to put that on his 4-year road plan. So-
Well, my understanding, he told me that he would not get it this year, but it would be next year.
Well, yes, ma'am, on his 4-year road plan. He wanted it on his 4-year road plan so he can work it in during his 4-year road plan.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna motion.
Do you want
Oh,
to let
yeah.
him make the motion when he gets back about that, to add that to his 4-year
No,
road plan?
he said it's okay. He told me that if that
Yeah,
was
that's what I
okay, if the board
understand.
wishes to do that.
Yeah, I understand that he want us to motion that it be
He did want us to
placed on
motion
his-
that. I had not
his
spoken with him.
4-year
Okay,
road
so I was just
plan.
getting clarity.
Okay.
So I motioned that, is it, let me see, what road?
It's
Lane?
150
Lane.
Jordan Lane.
Lane.
I motion that Jordan Lane be added to Supervisor Trainer 4-year road plan.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Supervisor Williams, that
Safety
Jordan
first.
Lane be added to Supervisor Trainer's 4-year road plan per his request. Second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion passes 4-1. Thank
How
you, ma'am.
long is that
Thank you.
road,
Appreciate you coming
Ms.
back.
Hill?
It's, I don't know how long that road is. I don't know nothing about it. Miles.
1.5, 2 miles. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, my glasses.
Who's the one?
Oh,
It'd be
4-0.
4-0.
4-0. I'm
4-0
sorry,
next.
4-0. I apologize. I
Yeah.
probably said 4-0. I'm sorry, 4-0. The motion passes 4-0. Okay, Ms. Johnson, do we have a Ms. Johnson here for Adams Lane concern? Good morning.
Yes, my name is Debbie Johnson, and my concern that I want to bring to the board is our road, Adams Lane. We have multiple, plenty dump trucks coming. I mean, they don't slow down. We didn't complain about them. You know, kids do play on that road, and the dust is just ridiculous. And when we talk to Trainer, ask Trainer, can the dump trucks go through the other way, which is, I think it's Blacktop and stuff, it's Osborne Road. He said no, because it might tear up the road or something. I said, but it's okay to come through our way, where we constantly have to keep our, well, me mostly, I'm speaking for myself, because I have to keep my mobile home pressure wash. That's cost like $300. Had to keep your car clean. There's other houses on the road. Everybody on that road is complaining, and it don't make no sense. And we've been complaining for years and years. And we've been on that road. My grandmother died when she was 79. So that's how long that road been there, and have nothing got done about that road. And we've been complaining from day one about the road.
Where is Adams Lane? I know Jordan's
That's right off
at
of
Rock
16
Hill.
section.
Yeah.
What is that?
Right off of 16 section road.
Okay. And that's not a 911 road, is it? Case?
It's not what now?
Is it a 911 or is it county?
Well,
road?
the county
That's
doesn't
a 911
because,
address. Because it used to be 1440 Adams Lane.
Did he say this?
But the
Yeah,
911 address is 203 Adams Lane.
Yes, ma'am. I
but it
was-
shouldn't be, if it's a 911 road, it should have a 911 on the sign
Oh, no.
itself.
Well, I don't know.
He said this road too. I was just trying to
I
get
don't
clarity.
think
I
it-
didn't
I don't
know.
think it does.
The road manager
Madam-
says it's not.
It's a county road?
Okay, I didn't know. I was just asking.
Well, Madam President,
Okay, go ahead.
it is my understanding that Supervisor Trainer has also expressed a concern about Adam Lane also. And he does want that road added to his 4-year road plan. So you correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
Okay.
So it's gonna be my motion that Adam Lane be added to Supervisor Trainer 4-year road plan.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery, to add Adams Lane to Supervisor Trainer's 4-year road plan. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, ma'am.
How long is that?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Along that road, it's about 3.5 miles before you reach the blacktop, before you reach the pavement road, which is, that is out of,
No, I mean, how long is Adams Road?
about 3 miles, about 3.5 miles.
Actually, it's like 1.27 miles.
To my road?
Yes, ma'am. I just checked it. It's what.
Oh, okay, okay.
And Jordan Lane is 0.93 miles.
Okay.
Just
All right, 2 miles, a little over.
All right, thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We appreciate you coming forward. Mr. Morgan.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good morning.
Happy post 4, how about that?
Too much barbecue. I'd like to present to the board, Clerk Miss Livingston, the real and personal property road, 22-year.
All right, you've heard that, Mr. Morgan. Do we just need to acknowledgement? Can I get an acknowledgement to accept that?
So moved.
Acknowledged by Supervisor Montgomery, seconded by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Passes unanimously 4-0. All right, Mr. Morgan.
Also, I have, should be in each one of you packet, the new contract on the real property and on the personal property for the 23 year, 1-year contract. The first one is on real property for board approval.
May I ask a question for you, Mr. Morgan? You know, sometimes citizens come up and question like how it got the taxes or how it's assessed, or I guess, you know, if they increase. Is this the time when if there's any questions about that they address this, or?
Yes, this is the time.
Okay. During the time that, you know, because I've had some people say, well, it's been zoned commercial or whatever, and we're still cutting hay off of it just because it's the area that it's in. You know, things that have come up in the past. So is this the time that they
This
address
is the
that?
time, once the board clerk Miss Livingston, once she published it in the newspaper,
Okay.
they'll have until, what is, the first Monday in August, I
Oh,
believe
first
it is.
Monday in August.
To appeal, and they got to file the paperwork with Miss Livingston.
And those will be in my office in the vault. That's where I'll place them if anybody has any questions or wants to look at them
For
So I would-
public view or
for
whatever.
public view.
So if any of the supervisors have had taxpayers reach out that believe that their mapping is incorrect, this would be the time for them to address that.
Yes, they have till the 1st of August.
Okay.
After then, it's a done deal,
Okay.
unless there's a mistake made by the
Okay, so he's got a motion to approve the contract that's in your, pack.
Motion.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, seconded by Supervisor Williams. Any questions or further discussion?
And that was for real, that was, the first contract was for real, correct?
real property, yes, sir.
Are we doing the one for real and personal separate?
Separate.
Yes.
Okay.
Two different places, two different companies.
Yeah, right, that is.
Williams. This is for real property. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Now we need a motion for,
Second one is for personal property for the new contract, 22-23 year.
this is for personal property, new contract.
moved.
Supervisor Montgomery makes the motion on that. Supervisor Williams seconds that. Any discussion on the personal property end? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
You said the first Monday in August? Till the first Monday.
You know the exact date on that, Miss Livingston?
Huh?
In August, what's the exact date on it?
Till the first Monday in August?
It goes to the board meeting, whatever day the board meets.
Whatever. It will be the August the 1st.
August
Okay.
1st.
I got you.
You want these in your office?
You can put them on my desk if you want to, so I can stamp them filed and then I'll put them in the vault.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Martin.
Mr. Pritchard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A brief update we have since the notice to proceed on District 3 and District 1. One was for August 1st, the other August 15th. And as soon as I get scheduled from Phillips / Falcon, I'll let you know.
So, get us some, yeah.
Other item this morning, we took bids in Districts 2 and 5. I think you have copies of those bid tabs. My recommendation at this time, I have met with Supervisor Williams briefly. I talked to Supervisor Trainer just this morning. My recommendation would be to take these under advisement pending meeting with the supervisors and discussion with the contractor.
What's the total amount of the bid?
The total, we had bid in District 2. Total bid District 2 was $6,287,666.25. That was one bidder, being Phillips Contracting. And then our low bidder, we had two bids in District 5. Phillips and Site Masters. Low bid was from Site Masters at $1,788,766.94.
Question, Ms. Administrator,
Yes, sir.
the $6 million bid is District 2 got that?
No, we talked about that. I think he was just putting out everything that he would like to do, but he don't have that to do.
So they accepted, they bid it on the entire packet?
They
So
bid.
you'll have to go in and.
Well, they were individual roads, as you'll see in here. What we were able to do in 1 and 3 was sit down and negotiate, kind of decide what y'all could do and what they were willing to do. And, we've not entered that negotiation here as of yet.
So I need a motion to acknowledge that these bids, until further discussion with the supervisors, is that what you were saying?
Just take them under advisement for now. There's no secret, our numbers are high and our bid pool is very few. We don't have anybody bidding and our numbers are out the roof.
You can carry the motion on, but I think it's time to move forward with the bids that we have. I don't believe if we rebid, I don't believe we'll come up with any better bid. Not this year anyway.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That you won't get any, rebidding would not be beneficial, and we don't have anybody to bid. And
Right.
we've got contractors that are telling us now they won't bid any more work this year.
Yeah.
That they, we've reached out to several, T.O. Wallace being one of them. And,
Right.
We've got all the issues we've had, they're just being exacerbated.
So these bids that we're currently have, what you're saying is they're gonna be what they are.
They're gonna be what they are.
Okay, I'm just making sure my.
Might even be, they go up every month, it seems.
Well,
The price
they're
to-
required from the proposal to hold these, I believe it was 45 days,
Yeah.
I'm not reading it. Phillips Falcon was
Right.
more than agreeable last time to let y'all kind of work through the process, just, provided that you work with them a little bit too on start dates and what have you. So I've not reached out to them about Supervisor Trainer, Supervisor Williams, you were with me, we were on the phone with Jeff Mosley and Site Masters the other day.
Right.
I think we just y'all need to evaluate these, decide what you can do, what you may not can do, and then we'll go back and see if we can get that, get that done.
Okay,
What's your wishes here?
well, it's not much difference in the Phillip contract and the site master contract. There's a difference, but it's not enough to consider the situation, especially when we look at the Bluff Lake Road. That road is gonna require a lot of care because it floods out. It's under the water a lot of times. And I don't know whether site master is ready to address the many complications that are associated with Bluff Lake. So, and I'm asking questions now before I do anything further. Phillip has quite a bit of contracts within Occidental County as it is.
That's
From
correct.
what I understand.
That's correct.
So they're gonna be here working. I'm gonna motion that we approve Phillip's contract based on the fact that the complications I know associated with Bluff Lake, and I'm afraid that a lot of those complications are not gonna be addressed. So motion for approval on Phillip contract for District 5. For District 5.
For just that one road, Supervisor Williams?
Well, for now, just Bluff Lake.
No, time out.
Okay.
The way we approached this before, and I feel like this is the way that you would have to do it, Attorney Robertson, you chime in, but you have to accept the entire bid, and then we would do a change
right,
order
that's
to
right.
reduce the scope of work to what you
That's
want
right.
done. Now, they may or may not be willing just to do Bluff Lake Road.
You're
Well,
correct.
we're not.
And
Well, let's back up a little bit. I'm not suggesting that we do only Bluff Lake Road. I'm suggesting that we do Bluff Lake Road now, and realizing that we are accepting Phillip's bid. Now, do we need to specify then?
no, you would just accept the entire bid, then I would meet with you, decide what you wanted to do, back off into a change order, provided they're willing to do that.
Yeah, okay.
I'll make.
Okay, I
one
accept
other-
the bid. I accept Phillip contract.
I'd like to make one more statement here. A while back, and I think it was warranted and good, you rejected site masters on Blackjack Road. you reject them again, you probably reduced your bid pool by another contractor.
Correct.
Because they have taken time to put this bid together, you know, and I hear your concern, but we don't have bidders now, and you probably fixing to get on the bad side of another one. I'll just, now, board, do what you want to.
Well,
So,
you haven't,
Attorney, do
you
I'm sorry,
you
go
haven't,
ahead.
you haven't talked about, and I guess that's something that we need to talk about, soil conditioning, especially for Bluff Lake. If the soil is not conditioned enough, and some contractors, not necessarily them, but some contractors have problems.
The specifications
With soil
for
condition.
soil, cement, condition, all those are in the contract package for what we would intend to do to Bluff Lake.
Okay, and
That-
who's
that's
gonna
all
who's gonna oversee that
That would be us.
on a daily basis?
I say a daily basis, Mr. Joe, we don't have somebody out there watching them unload the truck
Yeah.
or, you know,
Well,
put up signs or this kind of stuff, but if they're working, we'll have somebody out there, yes, sir.
I don't see how soil conditioning is gonna work if someone is not there every day.
I
Now,
agree.
We've had problems with the soil conditioning getting on people's cars. We've had problems with them not putting enough into the soil in some locations. Now, I don't mind using SiteMaster, but someone is gonna have to monitor SiteMaster as they perform this work.
That
Because
would be
we
us.
know
That will be us.
consistently, daily.
Again,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch them unload the truck, but if they're out there doing work,
Yeah.
productive work, we'll have someone out there.
Would it be your suggestion, because will this bid, I mean, we have another 2 weeks or so when we come back for the next board meeting.
Correct.
So would you suggest we table this until 2 weeks to give Supervisor Williams time to make certain his concerns are addressed?
That was my deal. I just recommend that you take them under advisement right now and let us work through these. See.
Yeah, but I do want to know how we going to do soil conditioning. And
You know, to get them to enter into a contract, I'll need you to accept the bid, and then I'll need to know which roads that you intend to work on, so that I can go back to them with a potential change order and see if they're willing to accept that.
motion to take it under advisement.
Okay, so
Second.
Supervisor Williams said he's gonna make his motion to take it under advisement. Supervisor Montgomery was seconded that. All in favor? Motion 4A. Could you give us an update on Longview Road, please?
We don't see any reason Longview Road doesn't get finished this summer.
And to add to that, and I forgot to bring it up in our last board meeting, Mr. Massey saw me eating lunch one day, and the postmaster, I went over and saw the postmaster. She was, poor thing, she was eating lunch real nice, and he's gonna move, if he hadn't already, he's gonna move those mailboxes back, and she's giving the blessing.
John Weaver has been out there almost daily. We are making sure that Phillips has nothing to impede their progress right now. We've worked through the issues with Cook County on relocation of the relocated poles. We've gotten that done. So we don't see any reason that road doesn't get finished this year, short of Phillips just throwing up their hand and leaving.
And they're not, because they've made it all the way to 25.
Yeah, I mean,
It's built up.
it's almost soil,
I gotta
cement,
say, they
and
made it
paving
come
time.
back.
Okay?
Hallelujah.
Okay, and on the heavy haul issues on some of the roads that we had discussed last board meeting, are we good on those?
Heavy haul, are we good with the contracts for the heavy haul on Poorhouse and some of the, actually, it's not just Poorhouse, it's all of them. Are we
All we
clear
have
on?
now is just an application. We haven't given it back to them. I mean, they don't have a permit.
I just noticed that the day after we had the meeting, they were hauling logs already from that area. So I just wanted to make sure that we were good to go on everything that we needed to do on our end.
The road department has not issued a permit at this time. There was some discussion about a bond.
So the answer is no.
They
Yeah,
own
so-
Courthouse Road? Where are they at?
They coming directly onto Courthouse Road.
But I mean, where is the logging happening at?
Right across from the storage unit on Poorhouse Road. You can see,
Yeah.
what's coming out right there. I just wanted to make sure that we're good to go on that or any other. I mean, I had a citizen ask about a dirt pit off of Sturgis, Maven Road too. I felt like that, you know, there was trucks coming out of there that was gonna tear up the good end of Sturgis Maven Road.
One of the things that we're running into, and I don't know whether this is a road department issue or if it's I guess it's for this board to determine. There really is no policing on that issue. In other words, if they're not coming to getting the bond and all that kind of stuff, there's nobody being able to go back and enforce anything. So we may need to put some kind of teeth in it, and how we do that, I'm not suggesting to you that I have an answer to that yet, but I mean, we're gonna have to do something, because right now, we have a procedure, we just don't have, I mean, if they don't come in and us deal with them,
Do I need to do something next on that Fetty Hall permit so they can get their product out? I mean, is that something I need to do, or is that something that?
It's actually something that at some point, once they do this, we just, our county engineer determines the bond that's appropriate, and from there, they go purchase the bond that's appropriate, and then we have proof of it. But the
Do
problem
I need to make a motion that we go ahead and do that between now and the next board meeting so they can get started on what they need to do? Would that be possible?
I think that's possible, but who's gonna be, I'm trying to get to because he doesn't know if it's his responsibility to do this. Clyde is the county engineer, he's not the
We
policing.
don't know what's happening.
Right. So there's no policing agency to, and when I say policing, I'm not meaning
Okay,
the sheriff's department.
So we now know that it's happening. There was a request on that, and that was the reason I brought it to the board last meeting, that there was a request, and then I had reached out the day after to tell you that they were already hauling logs, and I knew Mr. Baggett said that he had not signed off on the route yet. So do we need to reach back out to that company, or do I need to make a motion is what I'm asking?
Well, here's the only thing, in other words, it's basically on Poorhouse Road, you may as well say that this block of land they're cutting timber. Harvest law, in other words, I don't want to, have our roads torn up any more than anybody sitting here today. But there is a happy medium here.
Oh, I believe.
Is that harvest law, especially when they're on that road, and it is I think Poorhouse Road, isn't that a state aid road right there?
Yeah.
So it's hard to prevent somebody, especially on that road, with harvest law being really in their favor. And they have the right to get out on that road and get their marketable timber to the road.
About the only thing you can do is try and route them
Yeah,
the way you want them to go. That's really.
but it's on Poorhouse Road.
Yeah,
so there's
so
no.
they gotta come out on Poorhouse Road. You just send them left or right.
I got one on Turner Road right now that I don't want them on Turner Road, but their block of timber is on Turner Road. And
Let me ask, I keep hearing something about a bond. Do we have a policy in place where everybody should go get a bond?
we can enforce it, yeah, on an individual.
I mean, we hadn't been,
Yeah.
we hadn't been
We haven't
doing
been
this.
enforcing.
Yeah.
So
I
are we
know we
gonna
did
do
it
it to
on
everybody,
Artesia
a case by
Road,
case
didn't we?
basis?
Did we do it on Artesia Road?
Artesia.
We did do
It's
it on
actually been done on
Artesia.
We did it once, I'm
Right,
saying
right,
now,
right.
since this is in place, do we require everybody to go and get a bond?
If we had some mechanism to police it, I think the answer would be yes. But the truth is, whenever it actually starts operating out there, the reverse is true.
The heavy haul permitting that we looked at, and I think we even adopted,
If that makes any sense, what I just said.
said that if it deemed it necessary, be it a big volume, whatever reason we deem it was on an individual basis, that yeah, we can make somebody have a bond.
To his point, they have a certain category they're supposed to stay within. We can't, in other words, weight limit. we can't say it's gotta be below
It's
that.
legal weight,
Right,
right.
it's the legal weight. Now, here's the caveat to that. Most of these, let me rephrase that. Some of these players in this are probably heavier than they're supposed to be. We have no way of proving
I'm gonna
that.
say, yeah, where's the scales at?
Right, we have no way of proving that. So the issue is going to be whether or not a bond is going to even have legal effect if they're within their, is that, Clyde, am I off track here? If they're within their weight limit, and they're gonna claim that they're within their weight limit, we may as well assume that. They're going to say that the bond should only cover them if they're above that threshold. Well, what's the reality of them saying, or us being able to prove that they weren't?
Well, even in legal weight,
If they tear the road up, my
in the
theory
heavy
is they
haul,
should be.
we have the right to protect our asset, even if it's on an individual basis, like on Artesia Road when that was just highway of
Right.
nothing but trucks coming through.
Todd, what would you suggest? How do we tackle this?
Your caveat, and you're right, in there is that the number of repetitions, because these roads, even by state aid, are designed for so many, we call them 18 kilopascal load truckloads a day. If your repetitions far exceed that, you would have leverage to go back and say, yeah, you're on a road and it's rated for that, but it's not rated for that this many
That many,
times.
yeah.
This many times. So you've got something there. But the enforcement issue, I don't know. I mean,
That's the hard part, and I don't know what to
literally,
do.
right now, if someone goes out in the county and they go to DEQ and they permit a dirt pit, they've got 40 acres of the best dirt anywhere around here, and they're selling it for $10 a yard in the permit, and they start piling out on these roads. We don't know it till somebody calls. You know, and I don't know if you need to advertise these requirements of bonding, but we've done it twice, I believe, where we actually had a company call in and say, hey, I need to haul through this road. Would you come out, look at it? We go take a look and say, this road's already in bad shape, or this road's in great shape. We try to produce a bond amount for what they intend to haul, and then they furnish their bond.
All right, just to tackle what's in front of us right now, though, we know what road that they're using. We know the companies that are using it. How would we force them to go ahead and get a bond? Because they're obvious. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not out there today, right now while we're talking.
That's my next question.
Mm-hmm.
How big is this track?
I don't know.
It's big. It's big, from what I understand.
150 loads.
Well, and we know from there it's gonna be development,
And to that point, I apologize for interrupting, but 150 loads does not exceed what that road is designed for.
How do we decide, and that's my concern, Attorney Roberts, how do we decide how much the bond should be for each road?
That man right there's the.
Now, some roads are smaller and shorter,
That's right.
and they're not under new construction.
Some of them are already tore up, and
They're
some of them
already
have just
tore
been
up.
built. So you've got every situation out there that we would look at.
Yeah,
And some have just had maintenance work, i.e. poorhouse. It's, a maintenance overlay, if you will, and base repair and leveling, and a good bit of money spent out there.
so you are gonna have different bonds for different roads, different bond amount.
You'd have a different bond amount for each situation.
Remember, we had a lengthy discussion on this once, and we talked about you going out and assessing the road.
Right.
Seeing what condition it was in.
That's right.
And then going back. But then it started getting off into, well, how do we know how much the garbage truck is tearing up? How do we know how much the school buses are tearing up, on this road? Can you blame it all on these? I mean,
And we just have to, we have to
so there was
look.
some questions out there that
We have to try to look at that with both eyes open as what's normal, everyday wear and tear on the road, the condition that it's in now. What is this gonna add to? And, we've got some of them where if they tear it all up and put it back to gravel, it might be doing us a favor.
And then just to throw another little thing in there, when you start talking about weighing trucks, it's about the axle weight, not, so
Yeah.
it gets technical That's but anyway.
Well, I just wanted to ask a question, I think, where they turn in and out, because after they log, this is gonna be a big subdivision that's built in there. They're actually getting the water and sewer from the city, so they're gonna start on the back side of it. It's gonna be a large subdivision and possibly a strip mall, put right there. So, my question was just if we need to do anything, and if we don't, move forward, because from what I've seen, that road is brand new, which makes their property value, I think, more appealing and attractive, but where those trucks turn in and out appears to me where we have the most issues, where they actually turn right there. So that was my only question was, do we do anything, or not?
I think that we need to take our direction from what county engineer tells us in terms of, in other words, evaluate this particular situation. And if a bond is necessary, we need to reach out to them and go ahead and get them to do the bond. My question at that point, though, is how do we enforce that? How do we make them go do that? And I don't know that we have that answer yet. Maybe, and they may go ahead and do it on their own. I'm not sitting here suggesting that they wouldn't.
And there again, that would be my question too, would be where the turn-in area is. That seems to be the areas in the roads when those big trucks are turning in, where potholes the biggest. And so, is that an area that we could, specify? But like I said, I want them to get their product out. We want economic development. But I did question that because that road was just.
Do we need to do a board order to give you the authority to go out there and look at this particular situation and?
No, but I need contact information for them, if you have that.
Okay, we'll get it before the end of the day.
Anything else for Mr. Pritchard?
I did see in the last orders that Mr. Lewis sent me something about a turn lane for Poorhouse. Is that
Turn
something
lane,
y'all?
right, that's what I had questions about.
Is that something y'all
And
want
that's,
to pursue or not?
well, that's for future endeavors. As those subdivisions develop, and individuals are gonna be turning off Poorhouse into those subdivisions.
Yeah, I can tell you.
And that's not for us to finance. That's for the developers to pay for. Could the developers pay for turn lanes and things of that nature? So we wouldn't get into another blackjack situation, I guess, is what I had in mind.
Current permit and permitting requirement for a large-scale development allows us to ask for a traffic study. That's part of the permit requirement, largely at my discretion on whether we think it needs it or not. So if and when that permit would come across our desk, we would require a study. And if the study warrants the turn lane, we would put that cost on the developer to do that.
When I give you the contact information for the developer, will you share that with them too, that there is a permit, so we can cross that, or I can share it with them?
Yeah, because that's another word. A lot of these folks just do not know. I mean, we get the bank or the financer or somebody, their engineer or something, call in and say, do y'all have any requirements? And Corps is constantly sending out their development guidelines to people.
We just don't have any real mechanism, unless it's one of our supervisors that contacts them, or whether it's Clyde that contacts them, or if I contact them, or Mr. Lois contacts them, in the sense that in these development deals, and we're getting more and more and more and more of these types of situations. I guess the bigger point we may at some point need to discuss, having that person that does those types of things for us. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do anything, but I do want to plant a seed for y'all to be thinking about how you want to, because y'all development is happening out in the county rapidly. I mean, we can't keep up with it.
Really, you're the only one that puts a flag up right now, Mr. Lewis. You correct me if I'm wrong, but some of these things we don't know about till they hit Toby's desk for our address.
Right.
And that's the first time we know that.
And it's over with by then, usually.
A lot of times it's over or it's close to over with. So, it probably needs to be some discussion on how to more, let the public know more, public extended, that we in fact have a permit requirement.
The discussion we had originally on Poorhouse Road, what I ran into, just from a personal standpoint, is I contacted the road department and asked a question, and of course he asked questions of me, and then I said, well, I'm going to lean on Clyde to tell me. So it ended up being this weird.
Okay, so we need
circle.
to make a motion to allow Mr. Pritchard to address the situation for a possible bond, and then also the requirements for site development that the county already has.
Yeah, we'll be happy to share that with them.
Okay,
I don't have any contact.
okay.
Make that motion.
So Supervisor Montgomery makes that motion. Supervisor Williams seconds it. All in favor?
That's all I
Supervisor?
got.
The motion was for Mr. Pritchard to contact the developer about possibility of the bond for the
So
road.
this is not the timber cutters then? This is the developer we talking about?
No, he's
And
saying
timber cover.
if we
And
need, if
timber-
we need
and
one,
timber
he'll let us
company.
know. Good catch.
About the possibility of a bond.
Yeah, I don't know if
And,
they're one and the same.
and
or
also,
not.
and also, the site development permit. That was motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Do we need to acknowledge, Mr. Pritchard's
Well,
report?
one other thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I'm gonna be brief. Could you talk just a little bit about Top Road and about Harris Road Bridge?
Yes, Octok is now at state aid, dependent, it's in what they call office review. So they're looking at that, and soon they'll then, inevitably they're gonna have a few red line comments. They'll feed them back to us. We'll address the comments, feed them back. At that time, I will bring you a set of drawings and ask for an advertisement date when we get that worked through. Harris is actually in the second office review. Talked to John this morning. It needs about an hour's work on our part to clear up their last set of comments, and I should be coming back with a request to advertise it. It's very, very close to ready.
Okay.
On the October, is that the one that October County received $1 million?
Right.
Bump?
$1 million grant.
It is.
You think we will be moving forward with Top this summer, this fall?
I think this one.
This summer, we have a bid on it. Reason why I'm asking about it is that I really can't move forward with making any decisions about these smaller roads until I know something about how much Top is going to cost.
I understand.
That's the reason why I'm asking about that.
I think I shared with you the other day, our hot mix asphalt price right now, which is mostly what Octok is an overlay. Last bids received were 4.5 times what they were in the spring.
So it was, now it's probably about what, 500, how much a ton? How much a ton?
It ain't
now
been too
you
long
think?
ago, we thought $130 a ton was high for asphalt. We looking at numbers north of 400, approaching 500 now.
How you gonna help us out with that, Representative?
Wave my magic wand.
All right, I got
Yeah, and look, I know y'all are done with me, but to Rob's credit, this whole conversation, if you listen to the
Right.
radio, Fox, or whatever, your station, this whole conversation is going national now about all the money they got dumped in, but you're essentially getting pennies on the dollar for it due to the increase in cost and the work and the labor force and all that. It's not gonna go as far as everybody thought it would. And again, that conversation's going nationwide, not just Octaville County.
The ones who got in the game early,
Early.
they got a deal. The ones who drug around catching it.
Y'all had an engineer back last fall just begging you to tell him what he
I
wanted to do.
know. You're exactly right.
We never did bid Top Road.
No, we didn't.
And we really should have bidded Top Road a long time ago. Long time ago.
I do have a question on Maven Sturgis Road.
Yes, sir.
Is the cross drain that we've got to do some work on, that ditch,
Yep.
before we do the road? I know I mentioned it before, but can we get your office to get with Hal and our guys?
That's the same area we're doing that slope repair on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And, you know, just to make sure we're good to go, you know.
Sure.
When it's time to go. So, I don't think that requires a board order, just making sure.
I won't speak for Mr. Howell back there, but I think David's pretty much at his disposal anytime y'all need something, you know, from us, from engineering standpoint, to go out there and assist him with.
Just the Maven Sturgis Road, we got a cross drain and some ditching that needs to be looked at, slopes and things of that nature. I don't think it's anything major, but it's gonna take, you know, our county forces to do a little something maybe between now and fall, but like I said, get with Clyde's office to see, you know, exactly what we need to do.
That could probably, John, go to spring. You know, I don't know that we get Maven Sturgis done this year.
No, I just know, but I mean, it'd be good to go ahead and get the slopes done now while it's dry.
Yeah.
That way that won't hold us up when it's time to go.
All right, anything else for me?
That's it.
Can we get a motion and a second to acknowledge?
Motion.
By Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. To acknowledge Mr. Pritchard's report. All in favor? 4-0. Mr. Biden?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Morning.
Morning, Mr. Bagley.
Morning.
I'm taking a look at the report. I'm looking over it again.
I just want to acknowledge that the roads that you've been working on with that surface, so far, so good. A lot of happy people to upgrade those because we can't afford to pave them, obviously, to upgrade those gravel roads, so I do appreciate that. Do we need to talk about any kind of hauling permit on that? We're kind of at a standstill on that again, board. Or how are we going to do that?
We're gonna do it, continue to do it just like we've been doing it.
Okay.
However, when I started doing that, I realized like I won't call any particular road names, but, ditching is required on those roads. And so that's kind of what's holding us up. If we could, and I'll get with you, choose the roads that don't require any ditching or anything.
Okay. Go ahead and move forward on this.
Right.
Okay.
And then the others will do it, because you can put that material down in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And,
Well, actually, probably it's better than
Yeah.
because
What
it's
is that material called?
I'm sorry,
The
what?
material you're talking about, what's that material?
quarter round.
Crush.
Quarter round.
Quarter round.
Quarter round.
Thank you.
I'm not saying we're gonna wait till the winter, but the ditching that we have to do, we can do the entire process in the wintertime.
Is that hauling crusher run too?
No.
Crusher run also?
No, it's a totally different material.
Different
This is
material.
the material, I think she was saying that keeps the dust down and things like
Well,
that.
yeah, it keeps
Interior.
right.
It might be if Supervisor Train wanted to do it. We tried this product on a road on down 25 to see how it would work, and it worked extremely well. It's a super nice upgrade from a gravel road. It's still a gravel type product, but it acts kind of like concrete cement. It kind of sets up, not as dusty once it gets put down. So that's what we decided. I felt like that I could reach a lot more constituents on. I have so many miles of gravel road to upgrade them because I know I can't afford to pave very many roads. So we've started that process. And then we're running into a little bit of a learning curve, but not much on that.
We are, and I was really
You've got
surprised at
to
how.
push the gravel off first, a lot of the gravel off first, because it's a smaller product.
Yeah.
So,
I'm surprised at how well it works. It works real well on a straight road. Now, if you get into those curves, then you put stress on it, it might be different. But I don't know even about that.
Is it substantially more expensive than gravel?
Yes.
oh yeah, it's more expensive than the gravel, but it's a lot less
Lot better.
expensive than,
Having to go back and fix potholes and everything else
And
that comes
dirt,
with that.
or I mean, paving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Couple questions. The rubbish debris truck, is it still in rotation
It is.
from district to district?
It is.
Could you do a favor? I don't know if the rest of them want to, but can you contact me when it enters
I
District
will.
3? because I might have some things I needed to
Okay.
take care of. So if you'll let me know, when it's getting ready to head into District Three.
I will.
Second thing is, I saw a cement, quotes. Do we need to advertise again for soil cementing? And what's your expectation, I guess, by the end of August, middle of September, to have enough mileage ready that somebody might be interested in soil cementing bid?
By the end of August, we will. And my intention was to work, just say on Harold Road, to see how it progresses within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then get with the county engineer and the board and advertise.
Okay, so you sort of seeing how much you'll have done before you commit to advertising, okay?
Jeff Hay Road, little short strip.
Yeah.
Can you get a total on materials and things like that?
I will. I'll give you that today. And it might be better if we do that with the crusher run
Okay.
instead of trying to soil cement. It holds up well.
You sure? Yeah, and it's a little short, little area.
I got text messages over the weekend about where they had done some, areas they had dug up, Silver Ridge and some other areas that the paving machines were now in the driveways out there. And so those
Yeah.
people are very excited that the road is gonna not just be crush and run anymore. So I appreciate you taking the machines out there to get those finished. I know you've been rotating it around each district.
Yeah.
Any further discussion for,
I see where in the back you have photos of fencing being moved back. I want the board to understand that the reason why this is being done is because these roads are too narrow. And it's difficult for two vehicles to pass each other. And that's why these roads are being made wider. And since they are being made wider, it is necessary to move the fence over. So that's the explanation, I believe, and you might take it further. But that's the explanation for the reason why the fence is being moved. And when these roads were built, they were built maybe with one family on them. And now you got several families that are trying to get in and out. And that becomes a problem.
Excellent
Yeah.
job.
And
Yeah,
we,
right.
This is exactly what
Yeah.
they wanted.
we're
That's
making
good.
every
That's
effort.
documentation.
What
Yeah,
road is
yeah.
that documentation?
Right.
Hurst Road. We're making every effort to salvage what we can and reuse it off of the fencing, say the posts, if we can use the posts for the fencing, anything we can use. But that in itself is a challenge because you tear it up in the process of
Hal,
demolishing
thank you
it.
for putting that in there, because this helps me whenever there's a question that pops up, whether through audit or whatever. You have to have documentation. So just for the
Right.
board's
That's right.
understanding, whenever you see this does help prove that there was actually a
Right.
fence back there. And
So what is our final fencing process? What is the process?
if there were well, it's been a couple of things. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but we've paid to have it replaced. When we have replaced it, I think paying to let these people go out there and fix their own, it to me is a heck of a lot more. It makes a lot more sense than having our people go out there and do it. Because the problem is if they get out there and get hurt, or if they do something on those people's property that they're not supposed to. But if there is from my standpoint, as long as I have proof that we have, now I'm not telling y'all how much the value of that is. That's not my point. My point is that if there's a fence back there and we're replacing that fence, then we have to have proof for it. And
Yeah.
so it's showing that there's something back there when it comes up. Now, that being said, it's for this board to determine what that value is at some point. In other words, when Mr. Baggett comes up here and says, look, this was a new fence line that was put up through here. Obviously, you can't replace an old fence line with an old fence line. In other words, once it's destroyed, it's destroyed. So you're putting up a new fence line when it comes to that. So the reality is, you've got to have proof that we're the ones that are destroying it and then going back and replacing it. And hopefully it's the least expensive way to do that.
So my belief has always been, if we take it down, we put it back.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
I think that's a fair,
Yeah.
that's a fair assessment. I mean, I really do. But having the proof of that, it
Helps
just,
us a
it
lot.
helps me, and it gives me a lot of heartburn whenever I don't have something like this.
Right,
And
that's right.
This helps.
Well, I'm gonna ask this, there were 3 previous board orders from years back where we talked about how much we would pay people and not put the fence up. And I haven't seen a board order where we actually said that's what we were gonna do, is put the fence up. You know, my question, and then of course, if it's how far off the road, and if it actually was a fence that will hold livestock in it, or if it was just some old fence grown in a tree, and they didn't have any animals in there, you know. I mean, I think we've seen that even happen on a road that we went and put a fence back up, and now the fence is getting moved again, and never been put any livestock in there. Don't know that there was any livestock in there before, so.
My biggest heartburn from any side, well, first of all, the audit side of it, just making sure that we're protecting ourselves. But the secondary part of it for me is having our people on private property. That to me is the in terms of the liability side of it, because you never know what may or may not get, you know, happen. I'm not suggesting that anybody would do anything on purpose. What I'm suggesting is if
You stole my.
right,
What's it
there's a
called?
million things that can happen on private property like that. So when we're destroying a fence line, I think the right thing to do is to make certain that we are making that person whole with whatever it is that we're doing.
I guess you saying going on private property, but I guess we only replacing fence when we go in to build a new road, right?
Right.
New construction, and cause most roads, like Supervisor Williams said, is gonna need widening.
Right.
So when we widen these roads, if there's an old fence there,
Yeah.
a new fence, a counter old fence, whatever fence there,
It's a fence.
and we
It's
take
a
it
fence.
down, I feel like we should put it
We
back
legally
up.
required, I believe, to put it back. I
That's
believe
that's
now.
not private property.
Well, it's on
That's
the
right
easement.
of way.
Well, at that point, it becomes right of way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
at some point, and y'all, this has been one of the biggest heartburns I have, not just it's just been easements in general. Whenever we look at easements for the river and the creeks that we're trying to maintain, or whether it be road right of way, out in the county, it's very hard to determine that we're getting the right easement or the right people to sign off on this stuff. So as you see in the future, because this stuff is just becoming bigger and bigger for us, and I experienced this with our last creek cleanouts that we're doing. Whenever we're just gonna have to work closer with me whenever we're working on these easements, because some of the signatures that we're getting, they're coming back without me doing a complete title search. I have no way of knowing if it's, I'm not gonna say any names, but if some of these people I know own the property. There are people on South Montgomery that I know Mr. or Mrs. X own this piece of property just because I know. But on those creek areas back there, it's getting harder and harder and harder and harder to figure this part out. And even within the roads that we have out there, y'all, when we get into the middle of easements for what's considered air property,
Can be difficult.
oh, it's
So
hard.
when we move these, are we getting easements when we move these fences?
Whenever,
When we
no,
widen these roads?
I don't,
Yes.
well, the
We
ones
get the
that
right of way.
The right of way was
Already
gotten
right
years
of
ago.
Should be done already went through and got your.
Yeah, you
right
already
of
got
way signed.
easement assigned before
Right.
you can
Right.
move a fence.
But a lot of those right of ways that we were getting, I'm getting very nervous about what was gotten 25 or 30 years ago. And so it just is what it is. And it's nothing, I mean, it's nothing that this board could have done to foresee or change that. It's just the reality of time.
Well, Rob, what's your suggestion? Because now what I'm hearing is we might have to let somebody with some legal training go out and get signatures, which in turn now is gonna slow down, way down the process of building roads.
I think at some point in this, we're gonna have to start, I'm gonna have to have a system set up so when we're not have to go back and redo this over and over again, but expanding our easements and having it in a system that we can pull up easier. and that's just gonna take time. I think we just keep doing it the way we're doing it, and if something happens that it becomes a problem, I just have to fix it whenever it pops up. I don't know of another.
After the meeting's over, I'll get up with you on something, a suggestion.
Well, I'm looking for solutions, so if you
helps
got
me.
one, I'm with you.
I mean,
I'm
it's a
gonna
little
circle back
something.
around to what you suggested on the fence building, that we not go on private property, that we pay them, to build the fence, that we, you know, whatever it costs per foot, and that's what the other 3 orders from the years before said. So I'm just throwing this out there, I don't have anybody in my district that will build a fence or anything like that, but I do know that, you know, we're trying to get a lot of projects done, through the county too, so I would like to address that. I personally would like to just see us pay them again for fence building and us not do that, but
It will slow down.
I like
It
to
will
give
slow
them an
down
option.
the,
We
it will
gave
slow
them an
down the
option
road building process. It will slow it down. Cause you don't know when they gonna actually build a fence and get it out of the way, or whether they gonna put it in the right place. Now, I think we need to consider too, that if we've got an easement agreement, are we legally on their property? You say we own personal property, but since we got easement agreement, that, I don't see why there's a problem
This is the-
with being on that property building a fence.
This is I hate to say it like this, but this is the best answer I can give you from an attorney standpoint. It depends. Some of the easements that we have are great. In other words, it pushes, but what if, I'll give you this example, what if the road was too small to start with and it was built out?
Right.
15 or 20 years later, it was too small again and we built out, but we never went back in and got easements on that stuff. And keep in mind, some of this stuff has been going on in the county for 100 years as these roads have widened out and gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
Now, when we go from a gravel road to a paved road, I know Clyde is Johnny on the spot to give you a printout, a map, master map, and it'll have, you know, right of ways that we need to get. Excuse me.
Those aren't title searches. Those are taken from your county map that may or may not be correct.
Correct.
So that they're and you're nailing.
And then
you're nailing exactly
and then
the issue.
double check it.
But I don't know that there is a solution to this. I think we're just going to have to tackle it one piece of property at a time as we find, and we just come up with solutions that work for us at the time. I met with Richard last week on your project out there on South Montgomery, and there were a couple of areas that we were not sure about. My exact words to Richard were, "I've got your back. If something comes up, tell me. I'll deal with it when it comes up." Because there's no other answer to that without me going in there and
he
doing
sent me
something.
the piece of paper with each person's name on it and the map, and I got each one of those people to sign it.
Those documentations that he's given you is no better than the documentation that he was talking about from Clyde. They're generated from a county map that may be old. Now, some of those people we know. You and I both know some of those people, and we know they own the property. But that's the problem we're running into without getting in it too deep.
Can we go ahead and address this fence deal? Can we pass a board order that says we have the option to either for the county to replace the fence, or if the landowner want to get paid and replace it, they have that option.
Yeah.
And that way,
That's a motion.
Yeah,
That's a motion.
with proper documentation of fence being there and proper easements, we have an option. That's my motion.
I second that motion. Reason being is that motion has already been made. I've never known the motion that we only pay for building a fence. We have always given individuals that option.
It's the individual option, not the county option. Let me make sure I've got this correct.
Yeah, they sign
Individuals
one way or
can
another.
decide whether they want the county to go ahead and replace it, or they want to get paid and replace it themselves. But then you do get into the situation like Supervisor Williams said, of them putting it in the right place,
Right.
you know.
I know this too, sometimes on a road, I'm not even gonna say the road's name, that a fence can hold a road up for years. And it has, it did. And the cheapest, easiest way, even Don did it, was to give them a fence.
Yeah, just, we replaced so many
We replaced
thousands
a
of
lot
dollars
of
of fences in all districts. So we might as well
We've been
just-
doing it
yeah.
for years.
Yeah,
Been
I
doing
don't
it for
like it,
years. As
but
long
that's-
as I've been on the board, we've been replacing fences.
I think that's a cleaner way to do it, and we don't have to worry about it.
Second.
Okay, so Supervisor Howard's fence is to replace fences, but give the citizen the option whether they want to be paid for their fence, or the county and road employees will go back and replace the fence. Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
If it's deemed a fence, like I
If-
said,
With proper
Well, yeah,
documentation.
With proper documentation.
and I didn't mean to.
Is that,
Well, that's fine.
is that with
That's-
proper
that's good.
documentation? Okay. All right, that was the motion, and Supervisor Williams seconded that motion.
Right.
All in favor?
Uh,
Motion passes 4-0.
But Rob, just before we leave that, I've always understood when we go in and get an easement to build a new road, that's all it is, an easement. And the property owner still owns the property. All they're doing is giving us permission to maintain that easement that they signed. And that, whether it being cleaning ditches, putting up fences, clearing
Right.
debris or whatever. Is that
You're
correct?
nailing it.
Okay.
Drainage, yeah.
That's
Do you need to
important.
determine an amount
That's
right now, or do you wanna do it as a?
I think you have to do it on each individual basis. If
Okay.
you've got 1,000 miles of fence that's new, that's gonna be different than,
This day and age, see, years ago, Emily and Don had a form that said so much per foot, or do they, you know what I mean, or we pay them so much, or they replace it, or we replace it. But this day and age, you're gonna have to about shop it out and see how
I
much
think
it'll
and
equivalent
too,
to.
if you read those old orders, if they updated the price, they would, people that put fences up professionally, and there are people that do that.
Oh, yeah.
In the area, they would get a quote from them per foot, what it would be, and we actually had that included in those board orders, if you read those old board orders, for what
Yeah.
we were gonna replace the fence with.
And as it was going up, you know, they would reflect that.
Yeah, but we've got a new board order now.
Yeah.
That describes what we want to do, correct?
Yeah, right.
Move forward.
That's what we do.
All right.
All right, I need, if nobody has any further discussion for Mr.
did you
Biden, I need,
have-
to acknowledge Mr. Biden's work.
I believe you had a request
Yeah, I've got. To do, the resident at 1584 Old Highway 25 South said he's been requesting a culvert for the last 20 years, hasn't been able to get one. They've been promised back and forth. And, he's requesting a culvert at this time.
Yeah. What's the address?
1584.
1584,
Old 25?
Old 25. I'm a motion for approval that we install a culvert for the resident at 1584 Old Highway 25 South.
Second.
I got a motion by Supervisor Williams to install a culvert at 1584 Old Highway 25 South. Got a second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any further discussion?
I know about where that's at.
All in favor?
All right.
Motion passes 4-0.
It'll help.
Okay.
Anything else for Mr. Baggett? Go ahead.
There was some money left over on a state aid project. I don't know which one it was. It was like $14,000. I would like to have that done by outside source as far as the hauling is concerned. I'd like to get a couple of quotes. I think it was $14,000 that was left, and go and get that behind us.
Do what?
It's a state aid road. I think it's in your area.
What road?
I didn't follow what you
There was
requested.
a state aid project that was done. There was some money left over. I think it was like $14,000. And that money was to be used on that particular road.
for this culvert we're talking about?
No, this is, I think it's Sun Creek.
Sun Creek, okay. Sun Creek actually has two.
That's right,
two-
bridge project.
Two sets of amounts of money for those two bridges. One of them is 14,000, one of them is 30-something thousand. So it's a total of close to $40,000.
Okay.
That can be used, and I talked to you about using that money to slant those approaches, because
Right.
right now it's got a deep dip to go up on the bridge, and I talked to you about using that money
To do that.
to
Right.
soften those approaches going to the bridge. So that's what I want to use that money for.
Okay, now, well, I'm asking right now if I can
Yeah,
hire
that's a,
haulers to come in and the county do the typical section as far as shaping is concerned.
So this was for a
With our
bridge,
county
and this
force,
is
yeah.
where you wanna use that money on.
That's right.
And that's a state aid project?
Yes.
Rob, is this,
I'm still confused as to
So we
what we're
got
talking about.
BR funds for some bridge projects.
Okay.
We completed it was the Longview, Edenton, Silver Ridge, and the Tucson Creek. Once there was some that had some money left over, and Clyde came, we sent it back to state aid, and they didn't want it back, and they said we can use it, but it have to be on those bridges.
projects.
And so I think it's exactly what Supervisor Howard said, he wanted to kind of smooth out approaching the bridge on his. So if it's within the balance that you got now,
I don't have a problem with that at all, but I'll say this, on those bridges that we put in on Longview, Edenton, it was a funny thing. We were short on the money, and I had to put in like 16,000 of my state aid dollars on that. I mean, but District 3 has been kind of the short end of the stick on a lot of stuff. I don't have a problem letting District 3 have that money.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
it's
but
gonna-
it's gotta be used on
gotta
the
be.
project
Yeah.
that it was assigned for anyway. So,
Right, so
but I wanna soften those approaches,
Okay.
to those bridges. And you're requesting to contract out a certain portion of it?
The hauling,
The hauling of it,
actually bringing in the material,
okay.
We'll
And
shape
then
it,
the county will do the
shape and
same.
pack it and all
do
that.
we need a motion for that?
Yeah, I move that we grant, our road manager's request on the return funds for the BR project.
your
For, this is the bridge, what bridge?
Sun Creek.
Sun
This is
Creek
our
Bridge.
second thing.
And he's gonna need a hauling,
I wanna hire some people to haul it, get a couple of quotes.
he's gonna bring back quotes, or,
Well, it's gonna be within the $75,000 limit
okay, so he's gonna go with the lowest quote?
with the
Okay.
lowest quote.
I'll second that.
All right,
so this is just for you to get quotes to bring in the material. You
Right.
don't know who's gonna do it yet.
I don't.
Okay, so this is just for quotes, to
Okay.
bring the material.
Now, there was some other return money on a couple of other bridge projects that need to be determined. One of them may have been your, which other bridges
I can't
was it?
remember, that's been some months ago, but I'll get that information to you all today. One of yours, Silver Ridge?
Okay,
but what, we got a motion, and we
Motion and
got
a second.
we got a motion, and we got a second by Supervisor Montgomery?
Yeah. Well, discussion, as long as we have final improvement from state aid, that's fine with me, and look like it's official. We're gonna use it on the same road, the same bridge, same
Have to,
bridge.
that's the requirement, you have to use
I
it
remember
on that
that.
project.
I remember what you're talking about.
Right, that sounds good.
So I got a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
okay, on Harold Road, that drop inlet,
The one, yeah.
I'd like to get authorization from the board to have the county engineer to look at that with me.
Okay.
What road is that?
Harold.
Okay.
Harold Road.
I move we grant our road manager's request.
Second.
I will say that, is that the one behind the lake? Where's Harold Road?
No, it comes off.
Harold Road comes off of,
Harold Road is the road that goes out to Poly Bell. This is the dam, the small dam that separates the county lake. And that road is in the process of being built and paved. But there's an outlet that goes underneath that dam that at some point, well, it's gone already, but at some point, it's gonna have to be cut into and redone. Mr. Baggett is requesting to have the engineer look at it so that if we need to do something, we'll do it before this road is paved, rather than going back in and cutting down through there and replacing the alley.
and it's right at,
I agree with that. I just was gonna share that, Mr. McCurcher said that last week he had called that he was gonna come up and take a look at that.
okay.
So I'm just adding that discussion in there that, he was gonna come and look at that, I guess, because that had been addressed with him a while back. So I'm adding that for further discussion and conversation that, he was gonna come take a look at that.
I motion that we grant our road manager's request to have the engineer to come look at it.
Second.
Got a motion, to grant the engineer to come look at it, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
I do wanna, you just mentioned something. Does Mr. McCutcheon communicate with the entire board? Does he communicate with our county board attorney? Does he communicate with our county administrator?
I haven't spoken to him.
I guess if you would relay, or I can call Mr. McCutcheon, it would be nice if he would communicate with the entire board when he's wanting to do something, especially with the county attorney, so the entire board can be aware and in the loop of what's going on. If that pleases the board, I think communication with the entire board would be more appropriate.
I think he sent a letter on that. a while
I
back.
hadn't seen, did you see it? I hadn't seen
Not on
it. Did you,
that.
do you have an attorney?
I've got an email.
This was months ago. He sent a letter on that, I believe.
I can't remember. We do email back and forth with each other. This particular issue, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm just saying, in going forward.
Yes, sir.
I would certainly appreciate if he would communicate with the entire board.
I'll talk to him. Yes, sir.
Okay, the board agreed to put some stone at the veteran BFW, right? I received a call from the man that's putting that stone down. He feels that Crusher Run, that 610 Crusher Run, would be better than the stone. I agree with him, and the cost is the same.
Well, I thought we had stopped that. Now, can we ask Rob? I've gotten several calls about that. That's the VFW traveling that parking lot.
I think the AG
Can we-
opinion says we can.
I thought that wasn't supposed to happen.
We
No.
can't. We are allowed to do it, but I called the auditor's office, and we actually have two statutes on this. One statute states that a city can do it, which is at that point you assume that the county can't. That was the one we were originally going off of. Whenever I went back and looked at it, there is another one that allows, and this gets a little crazy, but it's an old statute that basically allows work done on cemeteries and veterans cemeteries that would allow it. So whenever I spoke with the auditor's office, I said, we're gonna go ahead and allow this, but I went ahead and called several of my representatives around here, and if something does come back on us for this, we are agreeing to pay for it. So there is we have a backup plan if this turns into a problem for the county.
I saw somebody out there
You're
today, but I
correct.
had received another call and told them that you had shared that we couldn't do that. because we
You
couldn't
are
do it with
you
the
are
risk.
correct. I basically called. I've been
You
in
said
touch
for
with
us
these
to
people.
hold up.
Yes, and it's kind of confusing because there's nothing that says that a VA, that a place like this can have it. What it basically states is that there are cemetery, and it gets kind of convoluted. To be honest with you, this stuff
Cemetery,
needs to
we
be
can do like
updated.
150 feet of it.
Yeah, it's
weird.
just very strange. So to protect the board, I went ahead and made sure we had a backup plan if this creates a problem for us. And I've got three. I don't want this to look like it's political, but there's three people that are willing to pay for this if
we have to.
If we have to. I know that sounds crazy, but yes, we're allowed to do it. From my reading of what the secondary thing, what it basically says is that we're allowed to go in for all military cemeteries and it's kind of a generic term of, which makes it sound like VAs, but it didn't say VAs. So that's where I landed, is I said, let's go ahead and do it. I actually called the audit department just to kind of see, and he kind of laughed at me and said, yeah, I think y'all are okay. But he said, if something pops up, I'll let you know. So I had to check on this like 3 or 4 times to make certain that we're not screwing something up. So we're good.
Okay.
And the only reason I didn't mention it to you, I got the call when I was sitting back there.
Good deal.
I mean, I would have, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
So
We
we
are
want to
doing
use
it.
crusher run.
Okay.
You want to use crusher run instead of the larger stone.
Yeah, it'll work
Yeah.
smooth.
I didn't know
Yeah, crusher run.
that you got a call a while ago for it. So.
Yeah, I got a
We're
call
good.
just a few minutes ago.
I have an easy request, if you don't mind. On Self Creek Road, we replaced a cross drain close to Fate Douglas Road. And over the weekends and just people going over, it needs to be beefed up a little bit. It's packed in a little bit.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And I would say it's close to being able to put the hot mix over the top.
Okay. Okay, so I did get authorization to use this crusher run?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And I've got a request, same as Supervisor Montgomery, over on Wade Road. There's 2 locations where we had to cut through the road to replace some cross drains. And they need that hot mix patch, asphalt patch.
Which it does well.
Yeah.
I give them credit.
Yeah. And while they're over there with it, I guess check with the foreman to see if there's any other locations that need it while it's in that area.
Okay. Ms. Miller, I will add, in your area now, where that road is we talking about, that is DBST, so that's what we're putting back. We're not putting hot mix. It's gonna be the same thing as there. It'd be smoother, but I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay, well, what about Silver Ridge and those other roads,
We're
those other
moving
2
up,
roads?
yeah, we're moving up to that while we're in that area. Gonna take care of all of them.
Okay, all right, perfect. I'll let them know. They texted me right now, imagine that.
Yeah, well,
They're out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're out there right now.
All right, okay, so I need a motion to acknowledge,
So
the
maybe-
manager's report. That's Supervisor Williams. I need a second, please. Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Would you give Mr. Moore a call? Would you give
Just
Mr.
let me
Moore
know.
a call?
Yes, I have a
Ralph
meeting.
Moore, if I have
He
right.
gave me a call and I called him back.
Okay, good.
I talked to him this morning.
Good deal.
The first thing I have is we had no CD for the month of June, and the funds remain the same at Citizens, so I just need to acknowledge that.
Motion to acknowledge.
All right, got a motion to acknowledge Supervisor Williams and second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Second thing I have is approval to publish the 2019 delinquent taxes in the Starkville Daily News.
A motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any further discussion? Motion passes 4-0.
The last thing is to, approval to publish the real and personal land roll.
All right, motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Palmer?
For the county business, you have number 1 through 10. If you have any questions on any particular one, I can answer that now. I also put a payroll in your space this morning, which was a combination that we can receive in this.
I saw that. The only thing is, I think we had mentioned it at our last board meeting. I think they're okay on.
Are you looking for at emergency management?
Yes, ma'am.
Those are some certifications, which is different.
We're good.
Yes.
And it was before the 1st of July anyway, so she did do that, so
Yes.
we're good.
Yes, because they need educational classes that would warrant this.
Yes.
Now, if you're just doing a merit, that's a different situation.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so these are good, thank you.
So I'll make motion to accept
Williams and Montgomery.
items 1 through 10. Or can-
I'm a 1 through 9, yes.
Okay.
And a 10, no. So we've got a motion, is that how we need to?
Yeah, I think you need to go
1
1
through
through
9.
9. 1 through
Okay,
9.
1 through
Okay,
9.
sure,
Yeah,
I'll
we
do
do
1 through, I'll make an
10.
amendment
Okay.
to do,
All right.
to make a motion to approve items 1 through 9.
All right, under county business, got a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, a second by Supervisor Williams. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. And a motion to approve the claims document.
Motion to approve, claims document.
I'll
Got a
second.
motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 3-1.
And I have one more thing. Clyde brought to my attention that when we approved, the contracts for the District 1 and District 2 and the Harrow Road Bridge, we did them all in one board order. We need to separate them out. And that was number 3 on the June 27th meeting. Number 23, June 27th. So what's the best way to do that?
All right, state that one again.
We just need to separate out those board orders, what we did for District 1, and I think that should be District 3.
Yeah, 1 and 3.
And it has 2 on here. And the Harrow Road Bridge, we need to separate them out into individual orders.
You got that, Ms. Paul?
I'm trying to look at it on the other one. Number 23 on the
found two places
in the
there.
second meeting.
Just separate the board orders.
Yes. So when we do District 2 and District 5, we need to do it separate.
So every time, anytime we have something that has to do with districts, we need to separate them. Is that a good,
Separate the
okay?
orders. That's correct.
So I need
Perfect.
a motion to separate, the orders, number 23 from the second June meeting, individual, if somebody will make that motion that we, separate those out.
Motion.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Any further discussion about separating out those orders? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, it needs to be District 1 and 3.
1 and 3, yes.
1 and
that's
3.
2.
1 and 3.
Correct that also.
Correct that.
Are you asking me to correct these, separate them, or are you asking?
New one, let's do new ones.
Okay, so I'm sorry, to make a new motion.
So the motion needs to be,
Keep that.
there came before the board a consideration approval of the contract for improvements of
District 1 and 3 roads.
Well, District 1.
District
District
one.
one.
Then
District one.
And
the next
separate
one
is
needs
three.
to be another order that says, under the board's consideration approval of contracts for District 3. Then there needs to be another one that says,
For Harold Road.
for Harold,
Bridge.
in 3 different. I mean, you could do 23A, 23B, and 23C, couldn't you?
That's up to y'all,
Can you?
As long as they're
And that way
separated.
they're
What's
separated.
happening is those orders are, when they're dealing with different contracts attached to different orders, and they have to be
That's
separated.
worded, just like what you said earlier. There won't be any confusion then.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just like you said.
You understand? You understand? Okay. As long as she's got it, I got
So
it.
we've got that, and that motion was made by Supervisor Montgomery. I needed a second, please.
I got Williams and
Oh,
Williams,
okay, I'm sorry,
Montgomery.
Williams and Montgomery. Okay, so we've got that, who that was, and we know how we're gonna divide those out. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Y'all, I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but I don't have anything today.
I did want to ask you about the full cement on the latest truck.
Oh, I talked with her, and I think we need to take and turn this into our insurance carrier. I got a feeling we're gonna end up in the same mess that we were with the other, but I've talked to her, and I've also told her that we need to go back to the contractor on this as well.
Can we circle back around on
I
that?
think
Can
we,
do
yes,
that? Whatever
absolutely.
you please.
But I need permission to, do I need permission? Never mind, I don't want, let me just do it on mine.
And Supervisor Williams, I just got another email from that person on Chapel Hill Road. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
So I think we had discussed this at the table, but he just emailed again pretty strong, so.
Well, let us, I need to issue a motion on that then.
Okay. All right.
Because I've looked at that situation, Mr. Baggett has looked at that situation. We don't really see a big solution. I think it's got a lot to do with the lay of the land in that particular situation, but I'm gonna motion that we allow our county engineer to evaluate that situation and come up with a recommendation. Everybody has taken a look at it except me.
Okay, all right, so, this is an issue, a drainage issue on Chapel Hill Road. And so the motion is to allow, Mr. Pritchard to look at that area and come up with, if there is a solution or not, bring it back to the board. Is that your motion?
Right, that's my motion.
Okay. All right, so we got a motion. I need a second.
Second.
A second by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion
And
motion
we had to get
passes.
that address for you, if you need an address.
Yes, sir.
just to tell you, it's the second house on the left when you get on Chapel Hill Road. I don't think that's gonna work, but we need to get an address for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do we have a name of the,
I do, I can get you the name too, if one of us get you the name.
Let me, and I'll.
send it to me,
I'll-
send it to me.
Yeah,
Look back through the
Hold on.
email.
either one of us can get you that name and address then.
All right, anything else now, county supervisors, the, workshop, you see that? And county supervisor business, any questions about that, or we need to just acknowledge that, I mean, that's the first term.
Supervisor Trainer asked me to put that in there, and he said if the board wishes to, approve travel to, I'm thinking he wants to go to.
We always do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I move we.
second.
All right, so is this, there's also one in there to, travel to something for minority caucus, is this the same?
That's the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay, all right. So, this is, to travel, got a motion to travel to, this workshop. And that motion was made by Supervisor Howard.
Second.
And seconded by Supervisor Montgomery. Any additional discussion on that? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. I did have, I noticed last week, that the garbage didn't get picked up on Poorhouse and Old 25 at that Poorhouse Market and stuff. I did text the gentleman and call. Anybody have any ideas or didn't have any trash get picked up in their area?
No.
Can somebody help me address that that's on that board, please? I did text the gentleman that's the supervisor and called him. And they were, if I hadn't received a response.
Right there.
25 and 400.
Little market.
The Poorhouse Market, all that's piled up right there. If somebody will help me reach out to that. Anybody else have anything else in their district, Rob?
Y'all, I have, not this week, but next week, I'll be in CLEs and we'll be out of town all next week. However, I will have my phone if you need me, call me.
I saw that garbage at that Poorhouse Market. The garbage pile up there at Poorhouse Market. I don't know whether that's another location, but I know.
Yeah, that's, and last week, she said they drove right through they drive through her parking lot. And she said they drove right past it twice and didn't pick it up, so I tried to call, Mr. Barry several times and text, so unless he's not in contact anymore.
Talking about Benny?
Benny, not
Benny,
Barry,
right,
Benny.
right.
There's some
Benny,
strange things
Johnny
going
on
on
the
with
spot.
these garbage things. I mean, we're in the city limits, but it's similar problems. The garbage bin has been in the very back part of our property, and it gets moved closer and closer and closer and closer to our house. It's moved at least 50 feet to our house now. It's like right beside my house. I'm like, what is going on here? So I think that they're just, I don't know whether gas prices can move it up or what. My wife has gone, would you go out there and tell these folks to put this thing back?
Man, I've heard horror stories. I've heard of people getting up first thing in the morning and running down the road in their underwear screaming at the trash truck. I'm like, you realize you...
All right, I guess if there's no further, we need a motion to adjourn.
Well, since we're
I'm
on
sorry.
the,
Did you
since
have
we're on the
something else?
subject about garbage pickup, we have some individuals who house been sold, someone else moved in the house. There's a trash can there that's in good condition, it's just dirty. And they want the trash can replaced. But I'm thinking if the trash can is in good condition, yes, it is dirty. We got a new resident there. They feel they need a new trash can because they just moved in. And I want to know, what do we do with the old trash can if it's good? I mean, it's a good trash can, it's just dirty. We have nowhere to take a good trash can unless we take it to be dumped and thrown away.
Throw away a good one. I just use them for spares.
Yeah.
I take them a new one, pick up the old one and take it. And normally when somebody calls and need one replaced, they're already used to a dirty garbage can, so just replace it. That's normally what I do.
You get someone else that can.
Yeah, if it's
clean it
good,
up.
if top's good, wheel's good, yeah. Use them for spares sometime to get to the point to where we're out, and that's all we got, you know.
So look,
I don't
it's
throw
not
away a
brand
good
new.
one, yeah.
Yeah, it's not brand new, but I got you to bring
Yeah.
it. Put your little Clorox in there and close the top. 2 weeks later, open it back up. You gotta be creative.
I don't throw away good garbage cans.
No, I don't throw them away. But then that does require work for us to either take them to, like you say, take them to your
I
house,
keep it.
take them somewhere and clean it up, and still reuse it. But now you're giving someone else trash can that the other person didn't want.
I tell you what, you don't want them,
So-
I'll take them. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make use of them
Yeah.
because, like he's saying,
I use 'em.
you can part them out, and when it's in lean times,
George trailer.
like September, when it's right before the fiscal year, or
George
and you say, look, I got a used can or I got no can.
I got no can.
Bring
They'll
it.
tell you to bring.
T-R-A.
And you know they tell you,
no.
so, well, okay, I'll take it,
Well,
but I want a new one when the new one comes
T-R-A-W-I-C-K,
in.
not
Get
a
up when you
Y.
want it happen.
Yes, you said.
But-
They get
but-
their garbage picked up.
Okay, I just
don't
want to
worry
know.
too
I
much.
just want to hear that we're consistent. We're
T-R-A-
consistent with what we're
W-I-C-K,
doing.
not Y, like normal trailer.
Thank y'all.
I do got one thing, county business. I think the board should reconsider, having District 2 supervisors to pay for those repairs on Hospital Road. District 3 and District 2 had already committed funding for projects in the city, on city streets. And I just think the board should reconsider and think about making that a county project, partnering up with the city on that Hospital Road project. I just want to put that out there, and maybe we have some discussions about it, but I just don't think it's fair that District 2 should have to foot that bill on Hospital Road. But that's all I've got.
If there's no further discussion, we will adjourn. If we can hold the 18th meeting at 5:30, that would be helpful to me. I have some things that morning. Would that be okay?
Yeah, there's always stuff in the morning. on Monday.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn till 5:30 on the 18th.
I got
Recess,
a motion. Can I get a
excuse me.
second, please?
That's my motion.
Second by Supervisor Williams.